a little bit. She might need to speak up.
Oh, I don't have to speak up.
No, she said me, not you.
Oh, God. Mary Agnes, can you see everything? Oh, yes. Yes, okay.
So, Kim, when we open the meeting, we'll do introductions around. Would that be all right? Because we have a few folks around the table here.
I think that would be perfect.
Is Tammy on?
I don't
I
see
see her
her.
name, I just don't see her. Mary, same thing.
Sometimes people will log in and like the meeting hasn't started, so they don't share the video because they're doing email and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Who's sitting in an office that you can't see?
Carrie at home.
Oh, good. Mark's there. Hello, Mark.
Elizabeth.
And Liz. Hi, Liz.
Hi there, how are you?
Good.
Oh,
So let's see, how are we on our quorum tracking here?
there's my name, Jim Dexter. Okay, I think we're just pouring in.
A minute. Oh. Budget, yeah.
Warren County's good right now.
Okay. Crystal, do we think we're gonna have a quorum for Washington?
Yes.
Oh, good, okay.
Linda, Mark, and Patty.
Should I have those new minutes with me in case people didn't see them?
Okay.
Can you just print out a copy of the minutes from 6/11? Yeah. So we're just waiting a few moments for a couple other folks we're expecting.
What happened to Carrie? Is Carrie gonna be joining us or no?
Well, good. We have Mark with us too. Mark. Hi, Mark. Welcome.
This is on the printer too.
Hi, guys.
Oh, good. Thanks.
How many more people are we waiting for?
Linda and Patty?
Hmm.
Tammy DeLorme.
Tammy?
Yep. Tammy's there.
There's Linda.
If Washington County gets a quorum, can you take the vote for the approval of the minutes for us? Heather was expected, but was not able to make it.
Sure.
Oh.
Oh, Darby's on. Hello, Darby.
I just
lost.
Patty is all we're missing.
So we're one short in Washington County.
I'm trying.
No, Linda, we got you. You're good. We can see you, Linda.
You can see me?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. Hi.
Island.
It is weird. It gets quiet, doesn't it?
So just a reminder, it would be helpful if folks could mute themselves if you're not speaking. If you need to speak, you can unmute yourself and just speak up, or try waving, and Kim or Tammy will try to recognize you and call on you.
Mrs. Tammy?
Yes, listen, I said I would take the vote on minutes. I didn't say I was gonna recognize anybody.
May I say happy something to you?
Oh, thank you.
Happy what?
I'll just say happy.
I turned 50 on Monday.
Happy birthday.
It's about time, right?
Turned 50 on Monday. Oh, half a century. That's why.
How are the babies?
They're well, they're still trying to train me. 2 puppies also in my midlife crisis, everyone.
Oh, congratulations.
Full disclosure.
Okay, everyone, I think we have everyone we were expecting. So if other people join us, that would be lovely. But let's go ahead and call this meeting to order and get this started. We have a couple presentations today and some informational items, but otherwise not a real lengthy agenda today. One thing that we want to share with everybody, we're going to be trying some different ways today to take votes and such. We ran into an issue with our last meeting, unbeknownst to us, where we actually, specifically Joan, had gotten muted somehow and wasn't able to participate in the vote. So when we vote for anything in this virtual world, what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be taking a roll call vote and asking for each voting member to share yay or nay or abstention whenever we take a vote on any item. So just want to make sure you guys were all clear that that had happened. We don't want to see that happen again. Fortunately, Joan sounds like she was primarily the person that ran into the problem. I don't think anything else has happened, but we're going to try to make that not happen again. Brave new world, we're trying our best. But like Rob said, for those of you who are just joining us, if you could please take a moment and make sure that you are muted so that, because it does make it difficult for whoever is speaking if there's outside noise coming in, and sometimes it breaks in on what everybody else is trying to share. So it just makes it difficult to follow what the person is sharing about. What other else can we think? Well, what I want to do before we get going though is I want to do introductions around, and I'm going to try my best to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the name I'm seeing on my little screen that comes up. So if you could unmute when I call your name or label whatever's there, and then introduce who you are. I think that's probably the best way to go about this. And then we'll get to business. Good? Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So starting with Rob, do you want to share who's all there with you?
Sure. So I'm Rob York, Director of Community Services for Warren and Washington Counties. And in the room here, we have some folks.
Crystal Lawrence, Community Services Secretary.
Mary Murphy, Washington County. Joan Grishcott, Warren County.
Fantastic. You guys are clearly social distancing very well. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Okay, the next one on mine is Cynthia's iPad.
Cindy Watson, Warren County.
Then I have It's iPad 3, IQ. See, I don't know if that's how you show up on everybody's or not, but that's,
Hi, Michelle Burke, AKA iPad 3. I will fix that. I was going to do it this time, Washington County. Sorry about that.
thank you, Michelle. Belinda,
Belinda Bradley, Warren County.
Elizabeth Cole,
Hi there, Elizabeth Cole, VP of Operations for BHSN.
for joining us, Elizabeth. Jay Dexter,
Jim Dexter, Warren County.
iPad 2, Maureen. Maureen, you're muted, I think.
Okay. Am I okay now?
Yeah.
Okay. Maureen Schmidt, Warren County.
Okay, and Mark?
Hi, this is
Madamic?
Mark Adamick from AHI. I'm the Performance Improvement Specialist.
Great, thanks to have you. Nice to have you. Carrie, right?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Carrie Wright. I work for the Office of Community Services. I'm the program analyst.
Tammy DeLorme.
Tammy DeLorme, Washington County.
This is a great way to test everybody's audio too, isn't it? Okay, Mary McLaughlin.
Hi, Mary McLaughlin, Executive Director at AHI.
Linda.
You want Linda Michaud?
Yes,
Linda Michaud, Washington County.
sorry. Sorry, Linda, all you show up on your screen is Linda, so that's why people say they see you.
You can't see me?
Yeah, we can see you, good.
Can somebody tell me how I can turn it up?
It should be a, what are you using, like an iPad or a computer? There should be a volume thing on your iPad or your computer.
I'm using my laptop.
Okay, there should be a volume thing in your, either in the top menu bar or the bottom menu bar, I don't know, whatever laptop you have. Should be
Okay,
able-
I'll work on it.
Okay.
I'll work on it, thanks.
Okay.
There's a little caret to the right of the microphone. If you click on that in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, if you click on that and go to audio settings, you can make it louder, the speaker, the microphone.
Thank you, Mary. Darby Larkin?
Hi, Darby Larkin, summer intern for OCS with Carrie Wright and Lisa Kutu.
Okay. And Mark Lukens? We didn't hear you, Mark. Could you try again?
Nope.
Don't have any audio from you.
Can't get your audio.
Okay, so what if we need, I don't know, okay. Harry Carlson.
Harry Carlson, Office of Community Services.
Hi, Harry. Tammy DiLorenzo, is she going to be sitting in on it or?
No, she just set up the meeting for us, so she's signed on, but she's not participating.
Gotcha. Patty Hunt, Washington.
Hi, Patty Hunt from Washington County.
Lisa Kutu.
Hi, Lisa Kutu, Deputy Director Clinical with the Office of Community Services.
Okay, and then we have Joan that's called in also, but we see that she's sitting there with Rob and we'll be able to see that too. Thank you all for joining us. The first item of business that we need to get through for both counties is approving the minutes in from our last meeting this past June. Hopefully everybody got the attachment that came in over, I think it was over a week ago that Crystal sent in. And then Rob sent a corrected form of it today. On the corrected form, he made it very clear, he highlighted it and underlined that we had problems with the meeting with Joan, so it affected her ability to participate in the vote for the last meeting. And so that was the change that was made in the minutes that Rob sent out for everybody. Did anybody have any questions or discussion, any changes that needed to be made to the minutes in addition to what Rob sent out today? I'm getting a no from everybody. Okay, so from Warren County, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Joan, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Maureen.
Maureen.
Crystal, you got those?
Yes.
If there's no additional discussion, we'd like to go ahead and go with the roll call vote for Warren County. Crystal, can you take that?
Yep. Kim Brayton,
Yay.
Joan Grishka. Here. Belinda Bradley,
Yay.
Jim Dexter,
Yay.
Cindy Watson,
Yay.
Maureen Schmidt,
Yay.
all passed.
Over to you,
That's it
Tim.
for Warren.
Okay, for Washington County then.
Is there a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion for Washington County?
Motion made.
Mary Alice.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second. Linda.
Thank you. No discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote. Crystal, will you help us with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Kim,
you.
how do you vote?
Yay.
Mary Alice,
Yay.
Linda Michaud,
Yay.
Michelle Burke,
Yay.
Patty Hunt,
Yay.
all passed.
Excellent. The next item on the agenda, I believe, let me just pull that up real quick, I think so, is a presentation, and I'd like to pass it over to Rob for him to make the introductions, please.
Yes, so a few weeks ago, we had an all-partner meeting for the spin through the PPS. And we heard a presentation from Mark on the district slides that are included in your packet. And so I'm going to try to run through the slides, and Mark will do the presentation. Mark, welcome to our meeting. Glad to have you. I just thought our board would be very interested in hearing some of the measurement year 5 final results of the district.
Thank you very much. Did you want to go ahead and bring that up to the full screen?
So it is on a full screen on mine.
So, well, we can present from here. Can everybody see the screen okay?
Yes.
All right. So let's start from the beginning. So about 6 years ago, HI received word that the North Country was going to be participating in the DISRIP program. And the DISRIP program was a 5-year program. And the purpose of the program was to reduce avoidable hospital events was the big the big goal of the program. Now the program ended as of June of last year. And earlier this year, we finally got the results for how we did during the program. And specifically, what we're going to talk about right now is for the Glens Falls area and the partners that were in the Glens Falls area. We took all their data. It gets compiled into one scorecard, and it's called the Glens Falls Fin Scorecard. And we're going to talk about all the different data points and how we did. So if we can go to this, let's go to the next slide. Oh.
Is that not working, Mark?
No, it is. Unfortunately, it's not. Do you want me to go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I could do it, but it's not working. So I'm going to stop share, and then you should be able to share yours.
There we go. Can everybody see that? Or do I still need to?
Not yet, Mark.
Okay. How about now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so the list of, so for the district program, there was many metrics that had goals assessed to it. This was basically a fee for performance, pay for performance type of program. So basically, if you didn't hit the metric, you didn't hit the goal, you didn't get the reward or the pay for performance. So we basically took 23 of our metrics were based on claims, and out of the 23 metrics, the metrics you see here are the ones that we were able to hit the 10% improvement goal in the last year of disrupt. Now, the question is that good or is that bad? I mean, we only hit these metrics. So what we did was we went ahead and we compared them to other PPS organizations in the state. So the district program was, in a sense, the state was broken up into 25 different groups, or PPSs as we call them. And we compared our goal, how we did to the other PPSs. So if we go to the next slide, so this green bar that you see here, this is AHI, and this is a percentage. So we hit 54% of all our metrics, all the claims-based metrics, we passed at the 10% level. When we compare this to other PPSs in the state, you can see that we were #2 in measurement year 5. So this is something that we're very proud of, and that this helped to bring in more money. This will help us to bring in more money for the region. Now, last year in measurement year 4, we were #1. We also had about 54%, and we were able to hit the #1 ranking in the entire state. So for 2 years in a row, we were either #1 or #2 in the state. So this was something we were very proud of. The next slide I'd like to show you. These are avoidable admissions, specifically for the Glens Falls region. So all the individuals that we interact with in the Glens Falls FIN, we looked at their avoidable admissions compared to June 2018 versus June of 2019. And as you can see here, there's a dramatic drop. Now, of all the charts I'm going to show you today, this is the one chart I think we're most proud of. These individuals have an avoidable admission is really hard to do. And I don't have other PPS data to compare to, but this data here is something that we should be really proud of. These are individuals that we kept out of the hospital. And a lot of these individuals are the diabetic patients that had the diabetic comas or had diabetic complications. So seeing this drop here really makes me feel like the district program really made an impact, and it really made an impact here in Glens Falls, in the Glens Falls FIN. Now, on top of this, I don't have a chart for this, but we also dropped readmissions in the same period of time by 27.5%. And that also is a tremendous drop in a 1-year period of time. So it's a thank you to everyone on the call and all the individuals in the entire North Country who made this possible. So all total, avoidable admissions dropped by close to 32% during this period of time. So this is one thing that I think that was a tremendous accomplishment, and it goes back to what the district program was all about, was trying to reduce avoidable and preventable hospital events. Now, my next slide, we also looked at preventable ED visits. And what we see here is all 25 PPSs and how they did. Once again, we're the green one here, and this is over a 5-year period of time. So AHI in the North Country, we were able to drop avoidable potentially preventable ED visits by 18%. And as you can see, we were almost tied for second place on this one. We were about 4th, in the ranking, but this is over a 4-year period of time. And the point that I want to make with this graph is not there's so much to point out, yes, we did fantastic. What I also want to point out is if you look in the middle of this graph, there were over half of the PPSs were unable to make more than a 6% change in their results in 5 years. And the reason I'm making this point, because we're going to show I'm going to show you what the Glens Falls Fin did in 1 year period of time compared to a PPS that had 5 years time. If we look at the next slide here, this is potentially preventable ED visits, specifically for patients with a pre-existing behavioral health diagnosis. And what we see here, now there's some ups and downs here in the middle of the graph, but overall, beginning to end, we're looking at a 7.3% drop in ED visits for this very challenging population. So the Glens Falls Fin did in 1 year for this population better than almost half the PPSs in the state. So this is, in its sense, a tremendous accomplishment for the area. And it really helped the PPS as a whole that Glens Falls Fin did as well as it did during this last year of DSRIP. Now, there were a couple other metrics that I wanted to point out for the Glens Falls Fin, and specifically because a lot of these are behavioral health metrics that are extremely difficult to move. This metric here that we see here is 7-day follow-up after an inpatient discharge. Now, as we know, we try to get patients in for a follow-up visit within the 7 days, and then there's also a metric for the 30 days. So this is showing an increase over the period of time, over the last 12 months, period ending as of June of 2019. So we were able to hit not only a 10% target here, but we also hit the 20% target. Not only did we hit it for the 7-day, we hit it for the 30-day as well. Now, the big jump that you see here in the middle is one of the things that we were working on at AHI. We found that the state wasn't giving us credit for a lot of the follow-up visits that we were having with our patients. Now, it's a complicated, long story as to why there was a problem with the data, but we noticed there was a problem with the data, and it took us over 6 months of negotiations with the state, and they finally found the error, corrected it, and then you see this huge jump up in the middle of the graph. That's basically us getting credit for the visits that we were doing all along. So not only did we able to move the graph up, we were able to improve on the results from there. Now, the next graph is for antidepressant medication management. So for patients on a new medication, did they stay on for 3 months? Did they stay on for 6 months? And this is based on whether they're picking up their medication every 30 days. This metric we also had a tremendous improvement on. And as you can see from the graph, and if you look at the 6 month here too, we see almost a parallel improvement, not only the 3 month and the 6 month. And one of the things that we did that made this a possibility, and there's a few people on the call today that really participated in this, is that we had access to all the claims data for all the pharmacy data. And what we did was, for any patient on a new prescription, we let all the providers in the area know whether their patients were picking up their prescriptions on a regular basis. One of the problems is that a provider may give someone a prescription, but have no idea whether or not they picked it up a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now. And what we did was we put all the data together and we sent it to every single provider we could get a hold of. And through that, they were able to follow up with patients that were having trouble with their medications and got them on a new medication. And so this is why you see such an improvement. So the last part, I want to finish with a Powerball story. So one of the things, there's 2 types of goals for the DSRIP program. There were 10% goals and there were 20% goals. If you hit a 20% goal, there was a special award for those PPSs that hit a 20% goal. And we hit, during this period of time, we hit 4 20% goals. And you can see them right now. They were the ones, the last 4 charts I showed. The 7 and 30-day follow-up, the 3 month and 6 month antidepressant medication management. So we hit the 20% goal on these 4 metrics. This was the highest percentage of any PPS hitting the 20% goals. There was only one other PPS that hit 10%, that hit as many 20% goals as we did. The reason that this is important is that the money that wasn't earned last year gets put into a bucket. And from that bucket, it's kind of like the Powerball. Nobody wins last week, it rolls over to this week. Well, in measurement year 4, the money that wasn't earned across the entire state got put into a bucket for measurement year 5. And those individual PPSs that hit the 20% goal get to share in that bucket. The mystery is we don't know how big the bucket is. We don't know how much it's going to be, but I know that it's going to be a large amount. And during these trying times for everyone in the North Country, it couldn't happen at a better time. In conclusion, I want to thank everybody who put in work on a day-to-day basis during the last 5 years of the DISRIP program. It really made a difference in people's lives, and it made a difference across the entire North Country. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
I'd like to suggest that some of our members, like Liberty House and others who worked on this, get this information.
They will. Mark's going to present this also at our Mental Health and Addiction Recovery Subcommittee tomorrow morning, and all of our agencies are participants there.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
It was
this information needs to be shared.
They're the ones that did the work.
Yeah.
It was also presented at the all partner meeting where they all participate in that meeting.
Well, thank you very much, Mark. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Let's not let Paul get into it. The bucket.
Okay, any questions for Mark? Comments? If not, should we move on to the HSN updates?
Sounds good. Thank you, Rob. I'm going to actually let Liz speak today. So it's all yours, Liz.
Hi, thanks everyone. Happy to be back and meeting with you since we last met, which was only a month ago, which seems like it was longer. We have been working very hard to begin the process to moving into the Glens Falls area. So just want to give a little bit of an update around where we are right now. So on the regulatory front, we are days away from submitting our application. So our prior consultation for OASIS was submitted 2 weeks ago, and we will be moving forward on our full OASIS application and OMH application sometime in the next 5 to 7 business days, and hoping really for that approval to begin for August, September. So that's where we're at with them. We've been having weekly calls. Rob's been able to join us, and really pushing forward on getting those applications going so we can move forward. We, mid-June, were able to come down for a few days and spend time with the team in Glens Falls. So meeting with staff, we had a town hall where we were able to do questions and answers and really got a chance to get to know the team, which was wonderful. They are all amazing, and you can definitely feel the passion that they all have for the community. So that fueled us even more to get things moving as we're really looking for that end of summer, early fall start. We have been looking at space and have been moving on that front, working with Glens Falls Hospital, reviewing the current space as well as some new options. So we're continuing to move forward and really finding the best locations for these clinics to move into. So really excited to have the opportunity and to get things going. I think we were able to create some ease of anxiety when we started the conversations with the staff. So our plans for the next week to 3 weeks is to get in front of more of the team one-on-one and continue the dialogue of what the transition will look like. That's it in a nutshell, I think.
Also, Liz and some of her team, some of the BHSN folks will be on the call tomorrow with our Mental Health and Addictions Recovery Subcommittee to meet the local providers and give them an overview of their vision and plans for the community. And so we look forward to that discussion tomorrow with our providers as well.
Yes, we're looking forward to it, and we will, you know, from here on out, be participating in your CSB meetings and providing updates as we move through this rather quickly, hopefully.
Any questions from anyone? Liz, things sound like they're moving pretty smoothly. Have you run into any potential hurdles or snags, anything that we need to be aware of possibly going on that might?
No, not that I'm aware of. We gotta knock on some wood because we've been really lucky. When I joke about it's only been 4 weeks, but we've really moved through this quickly, and those applications are our biggest are the biggest structures that need to be processed in order for us to move forward on the operations front. So they've gone smooth, and hopefully, you know, the states understand the urgency around the approvals and in creating the security for the community and clients and staff. So I hope that it continues to be smooth. We'll be knocking on some wood for sure. So we're hoping for that September, a September start, October start, knowing that there may be some barriers that might pop up, but the state's approval is our #1 step in the right direction.
I would just like to thank Mark and Liz and Sean, Katie Jock, everybody that I've been working with on this over the last month. Very appreciative of the speed you're moving and your interest in trying to jump right in and help us out in our community, and very attentive to the needs that I've raised and issues that I've raised. So I appreciate that a lot.
We're happy to be here.
Feelings mutual, Rob. Yep.
We appreciate the information too, Liz. Thank you very much for coming and sharing with the whole board. We look forward to future presentations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Rob, do you want to go ahead and move to the informational items then?
Sure. So thought I would just talk a little bit about the reopening updates again. I think folks are probably pretty well aware that here at the Office of Community Services, we have started back to work with a staggered schedule. We have about half of us on site at any time, and then the other half of us are working from home during that time. So we just kind of have a schedule set up where some of us are here, some at home. As needed, we connect with each other on conference calls or Zoom or whatever as needed. We do have, following guidelines for reopening, including, we have the temperature checks at the front door here, we do the health screenings, we have a cleaning regimen, etc. Just basically trying to follow, all the safe practices about social distancing and wearing masks in the hallways and common areas, etc. Most of our agencies are in some stage of either planning or similar sort of return to on-site work. I know that everyone's limiting patient contact at this point still, and even here at 230 Maple, they have clients ring a doorbell, and then they're greeted by one of the staff members. They come up, bring the person in, and they have various areas of the building set up to meet individually with clients, again with masks and social distancing, etc. So we'll hear more tomorrow from our agencies, different ones as to what stages they are in terms of the reopening. In terms of our 2021 local services plan, Carrie is really heading that up, and so I'm just going to ask her if she would not mind doing an update for us on that.
Sure. Yep. So I've been working with our intern, Darby Larkin, who has been awesome and helped create a survey that we were able to get out to our subcommittees and some local stakeholders with the help of a smaller group that we just had a conference call with to try to generate some thoughts and ideas, you know, from a wider variety of providers to get a sense of what they were seeing. Obviously, things have changed drastically from last year's service plan, and trying to accommodate the needs and gaps in services with the pandemic is, you know, that's continuing to change and evolve. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with schools, you know, what some large systems are going to look like. So we went through the goals so far, and we did change. Some of it really wasn't relevant anymore because DISRIP is over, and there was some particular goals around those areas. But the survey Darby did was awesome. Hopefully she can help me learn all those tools, since she's been using Google since she was like 5. And I still write things down on paper with a pen. That's how my brain works. So she's really helps with the organization. But one of the main things that I really wanted to focus on was not keeping the goals siloed to, you know, well, one goal for substance use with particular objectives and one goal for behavioral health services. I know that's how the funding works. I know that's how our state system is set up. However, I just don't think that that's really the way things are going to work in the future. It doesn't make any sense, you know, as we talk about social determinants of health and whole person care and all the things that are being pushed out. So our first goal was really around integration and coordination across the disability areas, which I mean, that's a huge goal, but that allows for some more specific objectives and just to kind of make the skeleton of the local services plan a little more malleable and language that is going to speak to, you know, how we move forward and look at systems. I think that that's, especially now, it's going to change drastically. Maybe we won't have individual state systems as they are for, you know, a much longer period of time. Who knows? But and the second one always is to increase the access to flexible behavioral health, substance use, and developmental disability services. We had talked about just including behavioral health and substance use. We don't do as much around, you know, the developmental disability like clinics or that type of thing. Their main issues always seem to be workforce and housing. The third is to expand telehealth, which obviously is going to be very important right now. As we've seen, the regulations are going to continue to be loosened so that people can do the telephonic care. So that's really great. The fourth is to promote the growth in aid the growth of peer-delivered services. So again, that's across, you know, substance use and behavioral health services. Developmental disability services don't do a whole lot in that area. We talked to some of our local service providers, but still, I think trying to engage folks to do the peer training and get the right individuals involved with our agencies to be a support in recovery and behavioral health in the peer arena is super important. And the fifth was to improve coordination and access to housing. We can't directly affect all of these things. Obviously, we're, you know, pulling on the work that is happening with our agencies in the community, but there's certain things we can certainly advocate for as the CSB board and as the LGU to help push those things forward. I don't know what the cuts are going to look like, but it's certainly concerning right now. But yeah, housing and access are always the top two issues. So that's what we have right now, and then we'll get out the specific objectives by August we had planned, but now I think they're going to delay the local services plan by 2 months. So I'm not sure what that looks like. They're coming out with a survey just around COVID and the needs of that. So it's all pretty malleable and flexible right now, as it should be. Any questions, just let me know. Or feedback on things you're seeing that, we may have missed.
Thank you, Carrie. I think we will, in terms of that, any approval from the board, we'll probably have some sort of a product that you can look at and vote on probably at the September meeting, if not probably October.
Yeah, we can do the PowerPoint again once we, get all the objectives squared away, but right now it's still in brainstorming. It's just sort of a mess right now with the 5 main topics highlighted. So thanks to Darby again, if she's still on the call. She's been just magnificent to work with, and her energy is great. So thank you to her.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of Darby, so everyone has met Darby. Darby Larkin is a Queensbury resident working with us this summer. And I'm going to ask Lisa Kutu, who's primarily been working with her, if she could do a little introduction and discussion about what they've been working on besides the plan.
Hi, everybody. Darby is a student at the University of Massachusetts. She's studying sociology. Darby, please tell me I have that right. It would be so embarrassing if I was wrong about that.
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. And you already heard about what she's been doing with Carrie. With me, because she has a particular interest in the intersection of mental health and the law, she's been working with me to learn about assisted outpatient treatment. And we are hoping that part of her learning will be an opportunity, or perhaps more than one opportunity, to sit in on an assisted outpatient treatment hearing. She has been absolutely wonderful to work with. I should say you, Darby, have been wonderful to work with. Your enthusiasm is so wonderful to be around. And as I've told you, and now I'm telling the board and others, one of the things that I think is so beneficial about having an intern is that they ask questions that those of us who have been in the field for a while don't even think about, and it gives me an opportunity to really think about what we do and how we do it, and sometimes how we might be able to do it better. So it's I think we're really fortunate to have Darby with us this summer.
That's the kid.
Thank you so much, Lisa. That's awesome. Yeah, it's been amazing to work with you guys. Yes, Darby Larkin. Yeah, you guys really covered kind of all of it. I'm super interested in just learning everything about organizations in the community and all of the intersections, learning about the behavioral health hospitalizations and what the hospital does, and kind of learning through that, the services plan. So I just wanted to thank you guys again, by the way, for helping me just get in this office and get all this awesome experience and meeting all of you guys. This has been an amazing summer so far. So thank you so much again.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Darby. Thank you for your contributions to us. Unusual circumstances this year with the pandemic and everything, but we're making it work, and we appreciate you. Okay, the Community Services Board Budget Review Committee, we did send out dates to the committee members. We're going to be meeting virtually via Zoom on Thursday, July 30th, 1 to 3:30 p.m., and then again on August the 6th, 1 to 3:30 p.m. So those will be our budget review dates. Harry already put out the call letter. We've been reviewing budgets. Again, it's a very unusual time, and we'll talk some more later here about some state aid withholds that are going on. So it'll be a little bit different in many ways this year. Also, maybe an ACT team program development update. Lisa, is that something you want to give as well?
Sure. I think we talked previously about the ACT team having sort of gotten, had hit a plateau, I guess I would say. They have capacity to serve 48 people, and I guess it was a few months ago that they were sort of at around 42, 43, 41 or 42. And they've been there for a little while. So we had, Rob and I had a couple of conversations with Northern Rivers about that. And what we decided to do to help them fill the program was to invite Saratoga County to have available to them the ACT team services. So they have been able to make some referrals, I guess starting probably a couple of months ago, and the ACT team is full now, and they're continuing to take referrals, and we'll have a waiting list for those who are referred, but for whom there isn't yet an opening. And that's so far it's going well.
Very good, thank you. Okay, then I also had included in your packets a couple of reports. They're called CPL 730 expense reports. There's one for Warren and one for Washington. This is just something I thought maybe periodically I would be bringing to the board to keep you posted. This is one of the impacts to counties this year in the New York State budget. So again, if everyone could mute, that would be helpful. And so this was, in the New York State budget, there was a significant cost shift to the counties from the state. For individuals who are found not competent to stand trial, if they have a felony charge, they are sent to a state facility for a restoration process, and there's a chargeback to the counties. Previously, it was a 50-50 split between the state paid half and the counties paid half. And in this year's New York State budget, they shifted those costs to be entirely county expenses. So I thought that it would be a good idea to just periodically keep bringing the information to you all, just to keep you informed as to where we stand with these expenses. So in your packet, the Warren County report shows, first of all, what we budgeted, which was $40,000 for the year. And then under our expenses, we have two categories of expense. We have the expense for the examinations themselves. So what happens is I receive a court order from a court asking me to arrange for the examinations. So we have examiners that we use who, we have to pay them for the exam. And then, for the ones that are found, and that's for all of, just to do the examination. And then for those who are found to be not competent, if they have a felony charge, they go for the hospitalization. And so in Warren County so far this year, we've just had the one defendant who was in from January 1st through the 20th, and that was at a cost of $12,778. Now that's still, for the months of January through April, or January through March, we were at, still at the 50-50 split. So starting April 1, that was when we started experiencing 100% of the chargeback expense. So fortunately for Warren County, we haven't had that anyone in hospital for these purposes since that time. Now, for the Washington County report, again, set up similarly, so you can see what we budgeted for the year was at $35,000. For the court-ordered examinations, we've had, the report indicates 787, but this report was done back in June, and even since the report was put together, we've had some additional, so we're up to close to $1,000 on the examinations. And then we've had 2 individuals in January and portions of February, for a total of $56,800 for the hospital expenses. So even at this point in the year, I'm at a point where I'm going to have to go to the county committee and request a budget amendment to cover, at this point, what is a balance of a negative balance of $23,800, and you know, we just still don't know what we'll experience the rest of the year.
Is that just since April?
This is a year-to-date since January.
Since January.
Yeah.
Yeah, here.
So, you know, we're concerned once we do start having individuals hospitalized for these purposes, when we experience that larger chargeback, for instance, these costs would be doubled. Okay.
Rob,
Yes.
this is Tammy. Can I, 2 questions on it. One, so you say when they start doing it again, so presumably with all of the shutdown, there hasn't been a lot of court happening. Therefore, since March, there's been no call for these hospitalizations or the examinations. Is that right?
Well, we've still had some requests coming in.
And we did tried to do a couple Zoom.
Yeah, we tried to accomplish some by Zoom, but you're right. I mean, the court process itself sort of stopped, but there were some in the pipeline that they were still sending us the orders for.
Okay.
And we picked up 3 back up in July. We're doing 3 in July right now.
3 in the pipeline right now, yeah.
Okay. And so then Warren County had $40,000 budgeted. Washington County had $35,000 budgeted. Is that set locally by the board based on whatever your recommendation is to them? That's something that's set within each county?
Yeah, and I should indicate that this is 100% local tax levy. This is, we can't offset this with any state aid or anything. The law requires this to be a charge upon the counties.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I'll have your back when you tell them they need to give you more.
Thank you.
Okay, really the last item that I had, I want to talk a little bit about third quarter state aid withhold. And, you know, we have been hearing that related to the pandemic and COVID and loss of state revenues and local revenues, et cetera, that, you know, we might be seeing, you know, fiscal impact to our services. And what has happened is that OMH and OASIS have, for the third quarter advance, have withheld some money. And for the OMH side, it was approximately 20% of the third quarter advance. And on the OASIS side, it was a little over 30%. Harry has put together some handouts that are in your packet that show both Warren and Washington County by agency and the impact of the withholds. What the state is saying at this point is that if they receive some federal stimulus, if it's sufficient amount, then they plan to keep the agencies whole for this amount. So I'm going to turn it over to Harry, let him talk a little bit about the tables that he's put together for us. And Harry and I are going to be setting up phone conferences with each of the agencies to discuss, you know, how they're dealing with the impact. Harry?
Okay, basically, as you can see in here, I just mapped out what the advance would have been if it was whole, and then what is the withhold. And basically the way we did it, since we had such a short time and it dropped it on us, a couple of days ago, what we did this time is we just spread the holdbacks based on a percentage of the total advance that each agency would get. With the understanding we would meet with the agencies to talk on how they're going to handle this. And unfortunately, the possibility that if this continues, because there's no assurances that it's not going to hit on the fourth quarter advance also. And like I said, it was like Rob said, it was right around 20%. We were able to get it down just a little bit below just for this other thing. But the OASIS totally surprised us. That hit 31%, just slightly over. And that really hurts, I think, especially with some of the smaller agency like the council and unfortunately the new agency, the ACCA, that has the residential program and does jail services. Hopefully that will not continue, but depends how much faith you have in the federal government coming through for New York, and really if they can give us sufficient amount of money to cover our deficit and so they can restore this funding. The same way with Washington County, basically the amount was a little bit less, 81,000. And of course, that's just, so again, same methodology, and we spread it over, basically same way. A little bit on the net advance, that is just a state aid. Now, a few of our agencies do receive county monies like Liberty House and AMH. I did not consider that in the calculation. So, like their advances will be a little bit more than what is noted there, their net advance. That's basically it. It's definitely not good news. Hopefully, again, I think some of the agencies we were sort of surprised that we haven't received too many panic calls about this. But we think a lot of the agencies have taken advantage of the PPP, payroll protection plan or something like that. Taking advantage of that. So I know a couple of agencies have mentioned that. So hopefully that'll help things out. But these are the times we're in, unfortunately. Hopefully. And it's especially galling, especially on the alcoholism side, or the addiction side. Because, I guess overdoses are in the increase again. And, those are really very needed, as well as mental health, are very needed services. What are you going to do? So hopefully we can get through this, and hopefully it doesn't continue on into the fourth quarter.
Some agencies during the, New York pause, with folks working from home, et cetera, some agencies did experience some savings. And maybe, if there were staff maybe that left, that they can hold those vacancies and not rehire during this time. But we'll be working with each agency individually to look at strategies for how they're dealing with it. Any questions, comments on that?
It's Carrie. I was just going to, speak to what Harry mentioned, in that when we just had our criminal justice and community services meeting, that was really the first time we had a large number of our agencies on a call and were able to get feedback. And we sort of suspected a lot of what they said, but they did indicate that a lot of overdoses are at the level of what they were last year for 12 months, and we're 7 months into the year, and the same with the mental health needs. So I would just encourage all of us to be very acutely aware of this. I don't know how much we can affect, but it's probably not a time to be quiet or just sit back and let this all happen. I know we can't do a lot right now, but I just think it's something we really need to keep our eyes and ears open to. And the need was there before the cuts. So like Harry said, hopefully it's temporary, but I just would encourage all of us to pay very close attention to it, because it certainly makes me very nervous just as a community member. So that's just my personal take as a human, not just for the Office of Community Services.
And our statewide association is advocating strongly, of course, for federal stimulus relief, so. Okay, any other questions, comments on that or anything else? Okay.
Great, thank you so much, Rob. Ending on a bad note, but okay. Does anybody else have any informational items that they would like to share, or anything else that they would like to bring up while we have the time? Rob?
Yeah, one other thing I forgot. We normally don't hold an August meeting, but I am going to propose this year that we do hold an August meeting. And, you know, I think people aren't traveling as much as they normally do. And even if it's just for informational purposes, check in with BHSN and progress and what's been happening. I would propose that we still have an August meeting.
Reactions?
Okay with me?
Would that date be?
It'd be August 13th, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we would plan it for the second Thursday, which would be
Okay.
the 13th at 3 o'clock. We would keep that sort of regular time frame.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I plan on being available.
So, and Rob, there's probably a strong possibility that it would be primarily informational, so not necessarily as reliant on quorums if we don't have everyone able to participate. Is that right?
Not sure if I heard everything you said.
I said this would primarily be informational, so we're not going to be as reliant on quorums in case everyone's not able to make it.
I would say so. I mean, I don't know of any new business we would have to act on, but I never know what comes up, you know, in between the meetings. But
okay.
I think it'd be good just to kind of check in together again and get the progress update, you know, from BHSN.
Great.
Could be a brief meeting.
Okay. Sounds like everyone, I'm not getting any negative response to that. So let's, if you guys are willing to prepare that, that'd be great.
People will vote with their feet.
Sure.
That's okay.
Anything else?
Yes. Can I make the motion to adjourn?
I was going to ask for it, Joan. Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Excellent, guys. Have a wonderful weekend then. Enjoy this hot weather, and we'll see you in August.